Got another one. Another one. I keep seeing these things everywhere. Between them, I keep seeing shadows everywhere. Like 10 foot tall. I think I hear them coming. Hey guys, top of the morning day. So, The Watchers is a movie that was directed by Ishana Shyamalan. And it was filmed here in Ireland. In case you haven't noticed, I am Irish. So, this movie was actually quite exciting for me. I wanted to see all of the Irish locations, even though it's primarily filmed in a forest. But you know, and also beforehand, there will be spoilers, but I'm going to leave them until near the end of this video. So we'll talk spoiler free and give a summary, and then I'll give a whether I think you should watch it or not. Recommendation, that's the word I was looking for. A recommendation whether you should watch it or not. And then afterwards, I'll give a warning, and then I'll talk spoilers. Because it's a Shyamalan movie. Of course there's going to be spoilers and twists and shit. So, like I said, you will get a warning before I start talking spoilers, so don't worry. Now, The Watchers, this tells a story about a girl, 28 years old. Her name is Mina. And she's played by Dakota Fanning. I might have butchered that name, I don't know. But yeah, so it starts off with her in, well, actually, the movie starts off with a guy running in a forest, and he's clearly running from something, you know, sweating and stuff. And then, you know, he gets taken out. That sounded very ominous, didn't it? Taken out. But yeah, so then we skip through to Mina, and she's in a pet store. That's where she works. And what I found interesting about this scene was the owner of the pet store asks her if she can deliver a parrot. A bird. A parrot. And it's a yellow parrot. And asks if she could deliver it to somebody. Now, that's not unusual, but what I found unusual was you don't get to see his face. Like, he's standing behind her, and it's, you know, blurred out, and so focused on her. But I don't know if it was just me, but his face looked a little distorted. I don't know if it was just me that noticed that, or I don't know if it was intentional, but they don't bring it up in the future, but you know, who knows? Maybe it's just the trick of the camera, maybe it's the camera angle. That's just what I thought. So she agrees, and she takes the bird home, and the bird, she says, okay, I'm going out. Just try not to die. And then the bird suddenly repeats, you know what? Try not to die. And it's funny the first two times because the bird repeats this multiple times throughout the whole movie. And it's meant to be the comic relief. You know, randomly like, try not to die. It's funny the first two times, but the more it happens, it just becomes annoying. At least to me. Maybe everybody else loved it, but again, that's perhaps a nitpick. But so she does that, and she takes the bird in the car, drives off to meet, and because she's an artist, so she drives off to deliver the bird, and it's out in the countryside. And what I love about this movie is the camera and all of the cinematography of like big landscapes, like the mountains, the forests, the it's really beautiful. Of course, I mean, I'm gonna love it. My beautiful country, man. So she's on her way, and the car inconveniently. Why can't I talk today? Stops. So the car literally just dies, and so she gets out, tries to fix it, and no, a fail. Not a word, but I like it. So she says, "Fuck it. I'm gonna go look for somebody." Takes the bird, walks into the forest with this big ass fucking cage that she's carrying. It's huge. And so she's walking through, and she starts seeing all these signs, like these, like a skull, kind of like a decoration, but it's got like numbers on it, which I think is coordinates. So she's trying to reach them, and she's basically already lost because it's huge. And as she goes to turn back to the car, she sees the car isn't there anymore. So she runs back, and it's just like more forest. So already the forest is fucking with her, and she's freaking out. As you would. And so she starts running around and panicking, and she sees things at the corner of her eyes, darting around, and birds are always flying. There's like crows and shit. They're like fucking hundreds of them all just flying at once. And so she keeps running, and she comes across a bunker, and the bunker has 3 people in it. And they call her in and say, "Come on, if you want to live, get in here, come on." So she gets in, and this is whenever the movie starts. It's one of those. It's one of the movies that it has a really slow start. Like drags its feet a little bit, and the characters are Daniel, Madeline, and Kira. I'm pretty sure that's it. And Madeline, of course, is the lady that we've seen in Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sally. I know. The less said about that, the better. I know. God. Why? So, they realize that they're trapped in this bunker, and they can only go out during the day. And at nighttime, they have to stay in the bunker. It has to be locked up, barricaded, because there are these beings in the forest that come out at night, and they're called the Watchers. And the whole bunker, the front of the bunker, is like glass. So it's like, from a distance, it looks like one great big theater. So they watch and they analyze, and the 3 people basically kind of put on like a show for them at night. It's an interesting concept. I mean, there was primarily one scene, and it was a little cringy for me. I was like, but whenever the fella Daniel was up, and he was doing like I don't even know what the fuck it was. It was like a show he was trying to do. I think it was a quiz show or a game show he was doing, but it's how he delivered his lines I found really a little cringe and over the top, and and the faces he pulls throughout this whole movie. It's so they have that, and they realize that during the day there's these big like burrows. There's multiple ones, and that's where these beings hibernate during the day. They go down there at night or during the day and sleep, whatnot. And there are rules, as Madeline says. The rules are you have to stay in during the night. You're not allowed down into the burrows. And I think that was primarily it. But the whole movie just there's just so much going on, and you have these things watching and the design of these creatures, which you don't really properly see at least until over halfway. And they're like just really like tall beings, like they're like over 10 foot, maybe 11 foot tall, and they're lanky and skinny, and you know you don't really get a proper look at them as much. They're more in the shadows. You just see the silhouette of them, but so that's interesting. And see, yeah, I'm trying. Obviously, I can't spoil. Don't worry, I'm not gonna. But the whole movie, it's basically how they're coping and trying to stay in, and Mina is so determined to get home because she's like, I shouldn't be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And so there's fallouts, there's fights, there's teamwork, there's bonding, there's, it's not as much scary. It's not really, it's more of a tense movie. There's not really any big jump scare. There's one, but, that's, they're not really as dedicated. It's more about storytelling, which it is good. They do focus on storytelling rather than just focusing on jump scares. But there are parts where the story just seems, and they keep mentioning a professor. This man is called a professor, and he studied them, and he was in that bunker before them. Nobody knows where he is. And so it's sort of basing his research off, because later on they find, a secret bunker where he used to stay in and do all of his research. And they figure out a lot more, and they find like video diaries of him. Like, he starts off optimistic, and as it goes on, he's losing hope. And, again, I'll not spoil anything, but yeah. And I should say, like, for a movie that was filmed in Ireland, in terms of main characters, there's only one Irish character. That's Daniel. The rest are American, and so I sort of wish they had maybe just got a full cast of only Irish people. I mean, if you're gonna brag that this was in Ireland, this was, this, at least go the full way, At least that's what I think. But it was cool seeing pieces of Ireland. You see a bit of Dublin, you see Galway, and the forest is supposed to be in the Western Ireland. So, I just wish there was more Irish people. Just saying. So, yeah, overall, as a movie, would I recommend it? See, I would recommend it because I can see an audience for this movie that maybe would appreciate it, because it isn't a bad movie. There are a lot of bad movies out there. This isn't on that level. This isn't that bad. It really isn't. There are parts where it's a little tedious, it's annoying, a bit cringy, but if you can get past that, there is a cool story to tell. It's a fun little, fantasy tale, if that's the right term, because it starts mentioning fairies and stuff, like in terms of mythologies. But yeah, so would I recommend it? Yeah, I'd recommend you watch it, but don't go in expecting a big masterpiece. That's all I'm going to say. If I had to rate it out of 10, it would be probably a 6. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the best thing in the world. So yeah, 6 out of 10. I do recommend it. So, spoiler warning. I'm going to talk spoilers now. So, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, then, leave the video here, go watch the movie, and then come back and, if you can hear my thoughts about the spoilers and what I think of it, and do I think it paid off. So, last chance. 3, 2, 1. Right. Spoilers. So, you then find out in the end that the professor was actually molding one of the beings, one of the watchers, molding him into his wife. And who was his wife? Well, they realized by old pictures from years ago that his wife was Madeline. Yeah, shocker. So, turns out the whole time she was actually one of the watchers. And, you have this big twist, this big plot thing, which is that, and everyone's like, Mina's warning Kira, and of course Daniel was killed, like, near the end. And so the being can do is take forms of other people, like, she takes the form of Daniel and the professor. And just, the whole thing is they watch not to be like them, but to become them. Is basically, it's pretty sinister. Like, I'm watching you, I'm analyzing you, not to be like you, but I want to be you. And then kill you, and then I'll take your place. That's basically their mentality. And it's a cool twist, and you think, okay, now we've got a villain, and okay, this is going to be cool. And they fight it out, and then you get like the last part of the movie where she basically, Madeline basically turns good, and randomly, so you're like, well, what was the point of that big shock reveal if she's not actually going to stay evil and just turn good? So what was the point of that? If she gets away, goes off, lives her life as an inhuman species, and good characters, the protagonists, just stay and live out their lives too, so they just separate. What was the point? I mean, I think it would have paid off better if they fought to the death. If, say, Madeline killed Kira, and then Madeline gets defeated, then you think, okay, the twist paid off because there was, there were stakes, but there wasn't. There was that, and they just parted ways. They fought for a little bit, and then just parted ways. For me, it fell flat for them. And I think that's why it's getting at 6 out of 10 instead of a 7, because the ending, it was a bit disappointing for me. I didn't really like where they went with it. They built it up pretty good. And part of me kind of saw something like that coming, because Madeline seemed a bit, bit strange and too strict. And like 1 minute she's like all happy and being nice and kind. Then the next one she's like threatening somebody, and then just back to it. So you sort of see little snippets of something. But yeah, when they made that reveal, I thought this is gonna be cool. We're gonna have a big, awesome like fight to the death, and then they part ways. You're like, oh, And there's also, you see aspects of Mina where she carries this guilt about the death of her mum, and she blames herself because they were driving, and Mina was just being a kid, just being, not listening, and and it caused a car accident. So yeah, the movie ends well. The being goes off, lives her life, with big fairy wings at the end, flies off into the sky. Mina makes peace with herself, contacts her sister who she was fell out with over it, and they all bond, and everything's happily ever after. So, yeah. So listen, that is The Watcher and The Watchers, and I would still recommend giving it a watch, but you know, there are little things. But again, the nitpicks I have, you might not have. Now, you might genuinely enjoy this movie. You might enjoy all the twists. You might enjoy the ending. Maybe you think it paid off. If so, more power to you. That's awesome. But personally, it just didn't really work for me. But there was entertainment. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. So, if you stuck around, thank you very much. I appreciate it wholeheartedly, and I appreciate you, all of you, even you on the left. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. What are you looking around for? You. God. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, as always, don't kill anyone.